Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be talking about Maplestory 2. It's been a few months since I made a video about Maplestory 2. In fact, since I made my only video about Maplestory 2. For those who don't know, I'm not like a super big Maplestory fan. I wasn't really into the first game. But when I played the closed beta for Maplestory 2 several months back, I made a first impressions video where I was pleasantly surprised. I was having a good time. Things weren't perfect. They definitely needed some feedback. They definitely needed to make some improvements. And they recently went over some of the improvements based on feedback at a premiere event. That event was right here in Los Angeles, and I actually went to it over a week ago at this point, and I was waiting for some sort of blog or something official to get posted so I could like use it as a backdrop and make sure that I had like a source on a lot of this information. And apparently they posted on Friday, and I didn't notice. So I'm making the video now. Better late than never. But anyway, I'm going to go over some of the details from this premiere event, some of the things they've done based on feedback, what their plans are for launch, what their plans are for content going forward, as well as some of the things that they revealed for the first time to those of us who attended the event. Thank you, Nexon, for inviting me, by the way. It was an excellent event, especially the hors d'oeuvres. Every event that has hors d'oeuvres and a couple drinks, it's a good time for me. Anyway, so first we're going to get started by just scrolling down. They have a few pictures here. I'm not in, am I in any of, well, no, my hat is in that one. Where am I? Was I sitting right there? Oh, no, that's like just barely off center. No, there's some pictures of me somewhere. I don't know. I have some at the very least. But anyway, this event highlighted a few things. For one, you can already do name reservation and their new feature, Mush Royale, which is basically a battle royale in Maplestory 2. That's already available right now for preseason. So if you're interested in that, you can go there, and there's some prizes that are going to be on the line for solo ranking as well as squads, which they added to that as well. Mush King's a real interesting thing that I'll probably have to do a whole nother video on. I'm not going to get into it too much in this video itself. They revealed that the release date was going to be October 10th, as well as a head start period that begins on October 1st for anyone who purchases Founders Packs. But the official launch will be free to play, so you don't need a Founders Pack to do that. On top of that, they went over all their major improvements made, and this was the big thing, including avoiding pay to win. Now, whenever I guess whenever I hear things from people who play the Korean versions of Maplestory 2, they regularly tell me about the things that they're really curious how it's going to translate over to the West. Luma Stones was an item that came up constantly during closed beta, and I guess the community's curiosity about the presence of these items. So that section specifically covered items such as Luma Stones, so those of you may be familiar with them. So first, let's scroll down. Name reservation, Mush Royale. Preseason, again, those are already available. So if you want to hop in and play Mush Royale now, you can already at least get in and do that. But otherwise, you're going to have to wait till October 1st as a Founders Pack user, or October 10th as a free-to-play user, just to play the game itself. They also went over the fact that there's going to be some rewards for those who get rankings in solo or squad. The Sleepy Shroom Nap emote, which is that right there on the left, which you can kind of see, as well as the top 40% getting the Royale Commando title. So moving forward, Maplestory Royale, or Mush Royale, shares your character with the main Maplestory 2 RPG game. So if you join the preseason, create that character, you're basically reserving your character in advance. So if this is something that you're interested in, then feel free to check it out. They also added 2 new skills to it if you are familiar with the first one. One allows you to erect walls, and one allows you to heal your allies nearby. Specifically allows for a little bit more strategic use, especially with a heal for a squad environment, considering it's an AoE heal, comes in handy. So then we move on to Head Start and Launch. So I don't think it's detailed here in particular, but Head Start and Launch are going to have 2, I guess, different patches in a sense. In that October 1st, only a certain amount of stuff is going to be available, and then on October 10th, the rest of the stuff is going to be available with the, I guess, the launch patch. I don't know if it's going to even be a separate patch or it's just going to unlock. For the Head Start, for example, you'll be able to go from level 1 to 50. You'll be able to experience all the improvements and changes that they made based on feedback from the closed beta. And of course, you'll be able to play the 8 classes that were available in the closed beta itself. I feel like I'm definitely missing some things there, but we'll probably get into them as we scroll down and cover some of the improvements that they're looking to make. Now, when October 10th comes around, the level cap's going to be going up to 60, which is interesting because people have been trying to analyze, how global is going to handle the level cap. I think the Korean version goes up to 99 and the Chinese version goes up to 60. We were curious if we were going to go up to 50 for our launch, if we were going to go up to 60 at our launch. And so there's that's just a question that a lot of people were asking me when I was live streaming the game during closed beta. We now have a definitive answer for it. On top of that, one of the classes that's not available in the global version, the let's scroll down just so I have it right here. The Runeblade is going to be available. It's a hybrid class, relies on strength and intelligence. It allows you're able to imbue your blade with flame, frost, and lightning, which changes certain skills that have different effects. For example, a dash skill, if you have your blade imbued with fire, it'll leave a fire trail behind that does damage. If you imbue it with ice, instead it like explodes in like an icy explosion, and then the lightning one leaves a lightning trail behind you. And each of these have different effects and damage values and whatnot. They even have a blink skill to teleport, and they have a combination of range and melee skills. People told me Runeblade's pretty good, but that's not going to be the highlight of the classes that we're going to be talking about in this blog itself. So on top of that, there's going to be some additional content. There's going to be an area called Karkar Island, and I believe a couple of other things that I just can't remember off the top of my head. But it was, an improvement in terms of content and where to go just 9 days after the Head Start launch, and something that anyone who's just waiting for the free-to-play start will have to look forward to regardless. You don't have to worry too much about people getting ahead of you, because you're just going to beat everything up anyway. It's not really going to matter all too much. So anyway, with that, let's make sure they're not bringing anything else up that I want to improve. Pre-registration starting on September 24th. That's something you're going to want to do. You can sign up to redeem exclusive gifts when the game launches on October 10th. So you're planning on playing, pre-registration on the 24th. Simple as that. Now, this was the big section. This was the section where, look, there I am, looking fat. Look, see? There I am. Oh, I have the mouse cursor turned off. I'm the dude in the hat, the second dude on the left. The fat one who's looking to the left, right to the... You can see me. Anyway, so moving on. This was the most important section after everything people had told me from the Korean version in my live streams. I didn't really know. Oh, here we go. They actually detail it right here. Runeblade, Karkar Island, the level cap increase to 60 are the main content pieces that are introduced in official launch. There you go. I'm glad I remembered those. And then we moved over to here. So in the global version, that Lumistone thing that I told you people kept warning me about when I was doing the closed beta, gone. They just said it's pay to win, so we're getting rid of it. Merit revival removal. So merits are a paid resource, as free-to-play games tend to have. It's a premium resource. And you used to be able to use those to revive yourself, and that's gone. Now, it doesn't mean you can't revive. It just means that you won't be using the paid resource in order to revive. Now, this isn't a pay-to-win thing, but AP and SP has been removed from the Epic Quest, which is basically the story, and has instead been moved to the level-up rewards, strictly because not everyone really wants to do the Epic Quest. A lot of people affiliate Maplestory with this really long process of, just grinding mobs, maybe grouping up with a few allies, mobbing up some enemies, AoEing them down. And that's kind of something they want to, to remain a viable option. If you don't want to do the story, you don't have to do it. But if you are looking for a more streamlined, modern experience, that will still be available there. Now, on top of that, they made some adjustments to the experience points that you actually get. Epic Quest should give out enough EXP for you to get to the next Epic Quest now, so you have to worry about stopping to do something else that you may be less interested in order to actually stay ahead of the EXP curve. And also, big problem with Closed Beta 2 was EXP values were kind of just weird. Epic quests weren't giving enough, monsters weren't giving enough on top of that, so you had to fill it in with strictly side quests or other activities like gardening and farming and stuff like that. Instead, it's just, now you should just have a bunch of viable options. If you want to log in every day and harvest, and you want that EXP to just add up, great. If you want to just grind on monsters in dungeons, great. You want to do the epic quest, great. All of it should be viable, and all of it should make you feel like you're actually making progress. Also, fishing doesn't give anything pay to win. I don't know what it was giving because I didn't know the items that came from fishing, but it's gone. So that's good to know. Vanity outfits will not have stats. This is, I'm assuming, something that happens in the Korean version, and again, due to potential pay-to-win issues. On top of that, they're going to be adding more exploration goals, personal favorite of mine because I love exploration goals, and then there's a bunch of stuff they haven't told us yet. So these are all things that, as someone who observes a lot of MMOs and as they come out, these are the kind of things you want to see when you see a game transfer itself from one region to the other. It's a proper integration of the culture for MMOs in that region. And here in the West, we are very anti-pay to win. So the fact that they're removing these things that, can really start adding up a tab over in the Korean version is a good sign. Now, we need to continue to see that going forward, but I, for one, am somewhat optimistic to see such major systems being removed and replaced with things that don't require you to open up your wallet. So, and also means they're paying attention to feedback, which is something we're always curious if developers are actually doing when it comes to any game. There's going to be more details as we get closer to Head Start, so we'll just have to wait for that one. Now, post-launch content, big thing. Those of us who play MMOs, let's be honest, we devour things that are in the games. So finding out what's coming next is always a big thing for at least people like me who just spend way too much time doing things like this. So they have some content updates coming in November and December. There's even going to be one in late October. October 23rd, I believe, was the day that they mentioned. And it looks like they actually posted the video that they showed us. I'll mute it and just go through it real quick. Future content preview, October. So if I recall correctly, the first actual update is October 23rd. I'm trying to remember what of these things is in it, because this is the actual launch with Runeblade plus some of the new areas with, you know, Karkar Island, like we mentioned earlier. So I'm trying to, let's see, new hard adventure dungeons. I think this was the one that was October 23rd was the new adventure dungeon. So it might have been a launch one, but I feel like Beyond Link Tries and Lubelisk, I specifically remember being mentioned for the October 23rd update. Then November is going to be getting an update. They're going to be adding a Chaos Raid, the Shadow Altar. That will be when Chaos Raids are introduced, as well as the Chaos Raid, the Moonlight Fortress. Probably scroll down so you can actually read the whole thing. Also, Lubelisk is going to get its own Chaos Raid on top of the fact that you have the hard adventure dungeon that we mentioned earlier. Then we'll move into December, where another one of the classes available in the Korean version that isn't available at launch, the Soulbinder, is going to be available. I've been told by people who are familiar with Soulbinder, it is incredibly powerful, making a good combination of support and offensive skills, so you're able to offer tons of support to your allies while also dishing out some serious deeps, augmenting your abilities and whatnot. And on top of that, there's going to be the Sky Fortress, as well as another 10-man. I forget what the name of that 10-man encounter is. Somebody told me when I was live streaming the other day. I just can't remember what it was, but I'm sure some of the hardcore Maplestory fans, Maplestory 2 fans in particular, are probably already familiar. Now, on top of that, for people who like building houses, they're working on creating a blueprint system. What the heck was that? I'm leaving that in the recording because LA. But regardless, so they're going to allow people to actually design, I guess now I'm all flustered, blueprints for their houses and actually sell them to other players on a marketplace. So if you really enjoy making lots of, you know, themed houses, you can then also put those on the market and sell them. So that way you could get a little something for your work. They're also working on something called Design Labs. Now, they are nowhere near completing it, so we don't know when it's coming out. They just wanted to tell us that it's something they were working on. But basically, it allows you to use, I think it was specifically Lua, in order to, you know, kind of go about just making your own content. Like, if you want to make a PvP, I guess, piece of content, and you want to balance it to an exact way where you think it's a little more fair to people, or you want to just create a mode or a map for that, or for a mode that you already enjoy, or if you want to make a house that's like a haunted house that drops people in, you want to make a dungeon, all these things are possible here. And they are going to be having tools that will assist you if you're not someone who is too familiar with Lua. So you're going to be able to do a lot of things, and there's going to be a lot of player-created content coming out of this feature itself. Again, we don't know when it's going to be, but they are also planning on allowing people to kind of help build that system with them. They're obviously going to need feedback on something like this. So in the description of the video, if you are interested, this blog will be there. You can actually visit the site that's linked right here, and you can click it, submit your information, and if they approve you, then you can be one of the early testers for this feature. You need to know how to use a Lua script, or be willing to learn the language at the very least. So they're working on other things. We don't know everything they're working on, but I thought that this was a pretty good step. There's also a preview of their booth, by the way, for PAX West, which I will be at, so I will share a picture with all of you when it actually comes to time. And with that, LA is just being as loud as it can possibly... Oh, it's a garbage truck. Is that a garbage truck? I don't know what kind of truck that is, but of course it had to pick right in the middle of my recording in order to actually do its work. But anyway, just wanted to share all of those details with you, and I'm sure there are things that I'm missing that other people who attended the event have shared publicly, but it was a lot of information, and I wanted to have it in front of me to try and make sure I missed as little as possible. So before that truck gets too loud or I get too annoyed, why don't we end the video? Thank you for watching this video on Maplestory 2. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned. We'll be sharing some stuff about the launch, about launch impressions, as well as some gameplay coming up in the coming months. Remember, Head Start the 1st of October, the official launch on the 10th, and then we have content updates in the a couple weeks later in October, November, and December. Anyway, I will see all of you in the next one, and until then, take care.